We call ourselves the Homo sapiens, the wise species. I don't know, if you've ever watched an episode of WWE SmackDown, you might question that. I call us the Homo storians, the species that tell stories. Every great epoch in the development of humankind has taken place through our increased ability to tell and share stories. How do you leverage this power in your own life? Try this. Instead of just going into meetings where you go into policies and procedures, get each person to share a story about how they or somebody else has delighted a customer, solved a problem, made a breakthrough. The cool thing is that you're recognizing excellence, and nobody ever left an organization because there was just too much praise and recognition. But more than just recognizing excellence, you're getting a real-life example that the rest of the team can imitate. You know, I do a lot of recognition and award ceremonies, and what do? We hand Joe a trophy and say, "Congratulations, Joe increased sales by 30%. Make Joe earn his dinner. How did he increase sales by 30%? Interview him right there on stage, or tell a story about what his clients have said about him so that we can find out how we can do the same, because that's the power of stories. We're inspired because we go, hey, if he can do it, maybe so can I. But more than that, we find out the how. You know, if you don't like the word story, if it sounds a bit too soft and fluffy and cuddly to you, well, case study. That's what this is. It's a case study. But here's the thing. If I know that in your organization, every month, I'm going to have to share a story about how I've delighted a customer, solved a problem, and made a breakthrough, guess what? I have to go out there and live a story. So it acts as an incentive to actually go out there and produce excellence. Our corporate culture depends on the stories that we tell to one another. Now, our profitability depends on the stories that our customers are out there telling about us. Extreme Hotel. This is a hotel that I like to stay in when I go to Cape Town. Everything about it is extreme. You walk into the lift, it makes you feel like you're in a cable car going up Table Mountain. All the toilets are themed differently. So this one's called Temptation. If you try to move the towel, an alarm goes off. Yes, I try to move the towel. This one is called Long Drop. And this one is called Stage Fright. There's an audience of people painted on the bathroom walls watching you while you do your business. The smoking room is called the coffin room. Get it? Coffin room. You sit on this white leather deck coffin, and if you look up, there are these people crying into your grave. Think you might want to try Extreme Hotel Cape Town? You'll be telling the story. The last time that you decided to buy a new product or service because you saw an advert on TV or anywhere else, please put up your hands. So some of you still do believe the adverts. It's always very, very low. And you might question why we even have advertising, because advertising is about brand awareness and there's a place for it. But let me ask you this. For how many of you, the last time you bought a product or service, it was because a friend or family member said you have got to try this new thing? Put up your hands. Do you see that your ultimate salespeople are your customers? Over 50%, in fact, as we look here today, it would be well over 80% of all buying decisions are made after hearing a story from a satisfied customer. Finally, there's the story that we leave behind. Your life is the most powerful story that some people will ever read. Certainly your kids. Although you can take consolation from one of my teachers who told me it doesn't look like you can be a good example, so you'll just have to serve as a terrible warning. I was 3 years old. My brother and I were talking about something. I don't remember exactly what, but I remember these words as if it was yesterday. He said, when we die. I was like, what? I'm going to die? Although I did seem to feel that it was necessary to have that verified. I ran to my father and said, Daddy, I'm not going to die, right? He looked down at me and said, boy, we all die. My dad had a great way with kids. But, he said, not for a long, long time. I said, but one day, he said, yeah. That day, I cried until I was too exhausted to cry anymore. Man, I didn't want to be consoled by thoughts of an afterlife. Who wants to be a ghost? All I knew was that Justin Cohen would die. But I believe that day, the seed of a question was sown, one which I leave with you. At the end of your life, what story will you leave behind? Whatever is going on right now, the next act is in your hands.